Hi, everyone. Welcome to On Air with Brandon J. I'm joined by a special guest today. He is the director of the new feature film that just hit theaters last Friday, Mr. Sean McNamara. Sean, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, it was great to be there at the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles to see this film. I truly didn't know what to expect, but I knew if you were behind it, it was going to be something solid. And so, in terms of you getting the call to say, "Hey, we want you to direct this thing," can you kind of break that down, that kind of chronological timeline in order?
Well, sure. It was in 2019, and it always starts with a call to say, "Would you read a script?" And
Yes.
I read Bau Artist at War, and it was interesting because it made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me mad. But I was like, I've got to do a little bit more research. And the next thing did was read Joseph Bau's book, Dear God, Have You Ever Gone Hungry? And what I noticed in the book is he had all these charcoal drawings that he had done when he was in the camp and when he was just out of the camp, and they were just so haunting. They were amazing. And it was a true love story. If you had seen Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List, there's a wedding that's depicted in there. And so the writer and the producer had gone to Tel Aviv and gotten the rights to Bow Artist at War from their daughters. And so once I met the producer and everybody, we said, we've got to do this. We all fly over to Tel Aviv and meet the daughters. Then we fly to Poland and we start, pre-production in March of 2020. So we're there, ready to go. We've, been figuring everything out. And
Incredible.
COVID hits. And I'm like in Krakow saying, well, we're making a movie, but everybody's saying you got to get back to the States, and everything shut down in Poland and the United States. So we sat it out for about 3 years. But I was determined. I love this story so much. And we got back, and then the casting was Emil Hirsch and Inbar Lavie, and just so incredible. Both those actors are just so good. Of course, you know Emil from Into the Wild, and he just became Joseph Bau. And
Yeah, he
Joseph
did.
kind of like a jokester. He's a
Yeah.
Williams type.
Yeah, his timing is just remarkable to become the character, to have the timing to be able to portray a role where someone's literally being tortured 24/7 in that camp, to watch what his father goes through and all of his relatives, and then to see how he takes that, I guess you would say, hell, and turns it into the most positive aspect that he can possibly turn it into with the drawings was just remarkable.
Well, that was his thing. He knew that laughter and joy would help people to survive. And it's great to always have a friend who's funny, who's inappropriate, that makes you see the light in, darkness. And that was Joseph Bau. And his daughters were saying that's what our father was. He always made you laugh. He always joking around. And, they needed that back then. So that's the front story. It's that he was funny and he fell in love and he found Rebecca there. But the underside is they were part of the resistance. So his ability was an artist, and he could draw
Yeah.
maps, and that made him useful to the guards in the Plaszow concentration camp. But he also did was forge documents that helped them escape. So there's an espionage element to this where there was a huge plan that when Germans would die or Polish people would die that weren't Jewish, they would get the name and he would change their passport and get them to be able to escape Poland in early 1940s Germany, Poland. And so that was what was just absolutely incredible that he was able to do that. And he and his wife saved, I think, close to 1,000 lives just straightforward. But on top of that, all those people who had kids, it's gone into hundreds of thousands of people that have been born because of Joseph and Rebecca Bow.
I mean, it's incredible to see how one individual can make such a greater impact on so many people.
Yeah.
It in terms of the casting, so you spoke about that briefly. You mentioned it earlier. How did you go about to say, you know what, we want to cast Emil Hirsch, uh, Imbar Lavi, and others into the film? Because to play a role of this magnitude, you have to find someone that can really relate to the character in a way.
Mhm. Well, look, I always say for directing, 95% of it is casting because we know how to
Hmm.
make, we know the technical ability to do it, but what you need is that chemistry. So
Sure.
And I started talking to Emil. First of all, Emil is a brilliant actor, but he's also a writer. And being a writer, he understood story. So we would go through every scene and we would adjust the scene and make it better right before we were shooting. Even we'd do a take and then we'd adjust the script a little bit more. So that was fantastic. And then, for example, Jan Tool, who plays Gruen, our bad guy, if you will. He was just the understated terror that he could be there by just standing and looking when somebody has that thing. And he's a fantastic actor. But to find these people, like, you have to go through 10 or 20 people that are coming in and reading in front of you. But there was something about him that just was incredible.
The
And
ultimate bully.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's an incredible thing. Casting is everything when it comes to making a
Sure.
movie. When they work together, it's just pure gold.
It with the the exception of such an incredible film, I just wanted to read off some of the quotes, right, from the Myrtle Beach Film Festival. And
Yeah.
I am someone born and raised in the wonderful state of South Carolina. So when I saw the correlation of like, oh well, Myrtle Beach, I lived there when I was a kid, I was like, this is interesting. Like there's kind of a connection all the way around, right?
I love the Myrtle Beach Film Festival. They were so lovely, and it was such a fun place to go and enjoy that town.
Movie Guide says this is their statement about Bau Artists at War, a great companion piece to Schindler's List, and one of the best movies made in the last 20 years. To receive a quote like that, and you are the director, directing how this film is going to go from start to finish. What were your thoughts when you received such a quote from Movie Guide?
Well, it was pretty incredible. But I mean, look, I've studied Schindler's List, and that is a true masterpiece.
Oh,
Steven
it
Spielberg
is.
did
Yes.
back in 92, 93 was unbelievable. He is the master. And because of his film, it kind of opened the door to make Holocaust films. Because a lot of times people wanted to shut the door on that part of history and not see it. But it's important that, like I said, that the kudos are very nice, but I know that that film is really a brilliant masterpiece. Um, when I made the movie, I thought I was making a tale about a thing that happened 80 years ago, and that we have to, like, be careful, or it could happen again. And then
Sure.
whilst in post-production, October 7th hit, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is unbelievable. And then if you look at the world today, it's like upside down. I'm like going, if we're not careful, what is going on in the world could happen again, and it almost is happening again. And I'm just like, this is why it's more important that people go to see Bow Artists at War more than ever now. It's also really important for the film to be successful is that they go to the theaters and see it, because it's open nationwide right now, but you need to get people in there and to experience it with a crowd. There's nothing like it. And I've now, the last 4 or 5 days, I've gone to the theater every day and watched it with brand new groups of people, and to hear their laughter and their joy and then to hear their tears is very satisfying.
I mean, I would have to say, Sean, based on how Movie Guide quotes this film, this is an exceptionally remarkable piece that you've directed. And I really enjoyed it. And you never know when you go to a premiere, right? Am I going to like this movie? Am I
Sure.
not going to like the film? But it's something that I feel that you really uh, accomplished the emotion of setting the tone of the emotional, compelling feeling and aspect from these characters. I mean, when you watch Jan, and I don't want to give away too much because people really need to go to the theaters and watch it. But when you watch Jan, like I walked up to him at the premiere and I'm like, dude, I just wanted to punch you in the face.
I know. It's funny. John Voight was at that premiere, and when he saw
Yes, he
Yanni,
was.
grabbed him by the lapels and he goes, "You."
Yeah.
Um, I have no idea. He's extremely talented actor, and he's a super nice guy. So it's funny because actors play parts, and he played it well.
And Sean, in terms of what you have, because I know you're constantly working. I know right now you're promoting this nationwide. What is next for Sean McNamara? You directed another film that I really enjoyed, The Reagan, based on Ronald Reagan. You've
Mhm.
directed so many others, but what is next for you?
Well, right now on October 10th is Soul on Fire. I don't know if you remember, but I directed a movie called Soul Surfer about 10
Yes.
or 15 years ago. And this is almost like a companion piece. It's about John O'Leary as a little boy blew himself up. He was going to die, and then Jack Buck, the announcer of the Cardinals at Busch Stadium, befriended him and somehow gave him the will to live. And now he's grown up to be a speaker, like a young Tony Robbins. And that's coming out October 10th nationwide from Sony Affirm. And and then I just finished a film called The Last Firefighter with Kelsey Grammer and John Voight. And then I'm about to start a new film in January called 21 Downs. So knock on wood, I'm continuing to work with passion projects. They all have something to do with something that has happened in my life and that I'm passionate about getting it to the big screen.
Man, that is incredible. A question that is controversial that I wanted to ask you about the wonderful world of AI, artificial intelligence. Whether we like it or not, it's become part of our day to day routine, whether we're
Mhm.
researching a topic or building a presentation or whatever it might be. And now that, AI has been integrated into the world of music, right, with these AI artists using Suno and these other platforms, now they have found the first ever AI actress. And
Yeah, I
what are
saw
your
that.
thoughts? Do you feel that that can be integrated? Because SAG-AFTRA just released a statement saying that they do not stand for something that is not authentic, right? The human being perspective. And I'm just kind of paraphrasing it, summing it up, right? You'll have to go back and read it, all of you out there, of what SAG-AFTRA had to say. But Sean, what are your thoughts on AI being into the integration of television and film?
Well, I have to read the article so I completely understand it, but I think actors, human actors, are the heart and soul of everything, and we
Yes.
not only are concerned with ourselves with what the actor is doing on film, but what kind of choices they make and all of that stuff. That being said, the art of AI, we've been doing CGI forever, building sets to get bigger and stuff. So I honestly think the director or filmmaker has tools at their disposal because before, if you were a songwriter, you could write a song and perform it yourself and they could see if it was a good tell if it's a good song. If you're a painter, you'd paint a painting and go, that's great art. If you're a writer, you could write something, but if you were a filmmaker, it would cost millions of dollars to make a film, and it's even expensive when if you were to shoot it on your iPhone and cut it
Sure.
on your laptop. But it was just like actors and their own apartment and stuff like that. Now I think the creativity of filmmakers are going to be able to come out and they're going to be able to do new worlds that we could have never imagined, and the budget is not going to stop them because they can't build some other planet or some space travel thing or whatever they want. That being said, AI is here, and I'd like to use it as a tool. I, of course, don't want it to take over what we do. I think it's all going to be with the artist. The artist, it's a new art form, if you will. And I think if we use it as a tool, like a brush, to do whatever art you're doing, I think
Yeah.
it's a good thing. As far as replacing actors, no, I don't think they should be replacing actors with AI.
So no iRobot day-to-day living for Sean McNamara.
Well, I saw that like Tesla was selling a robot that for
Yeah, that's what I was
$35,000
saying.
would
Yeah.
like make your bed and cut your lawn and doing all that. And I'm kind of like, that would be kind of cool if somebody else could do the dishes and make food for me. But again, I have not done the research on that to find out what it really means. But is anything that's a tool that can be helpful, I think is a good thing.
So Sean, thank you so much for jumping on this interview today. This is our second time having you on the show. The next film you do, you got to come back on. I always enjoy getting your perspective and talking about the conception process from start to finish with these films, with television. In terms of Bow Artists at War, you can go nationwide to theaters with the Regal franchise, the AMC, the what are the other ones?
Cinemark, all of them. It's nationwide, and just go as quickly as you can. They're not, it's like 500 theaters that it's in, so it's not like a Marvel movie where it's in 3,000 theaters and it's there all the time. You got to look a little harder in your city for it, but it is there. And if you get a chance to go on and review it on Rotten Tomatoes, that helps us also because when you get a lot of response, if people are liking it, more people will want to go see it.
Sean, if someone wants to connect with you on social media, where can they go?
They go to McNamara at McNamara 6262 on Insta. And I'm on Facebook as Sean McNamara. I'm everywhere and I'm on X. So just Sean McNamara or on Insta, McNamara6262.
Sean, I know you're traveling. Once again, thank you for being on the show. Congratulations on all of these amazing uh, awards that this film is going to win. I'm just going to speak this out, right? I know this is a monster, so congratulations in advance.
Thank you, Brandon. And I'd love to be on your show next time. We got a couple more films coming out very soon, so let's talk.
Awesome. Sean McNamara right here. I'm Brandon. We'll see you next time. Goodbye for